So what I was telling, in this entire program, what we will be doing, we will take this up as a client requirement. Like there is a client and they are moving from their, say, traditional system, say they are maintaining everything in their handwritten notebook, or maybe they are using some older ERP tools like say PeopleSoft, etc. And they want to move everything to Workday. Now, what we will do in this entire program is we will take up the requirements and how things are, and then we will set up everything in Workday. So we have access to our tenants. So we will construct the organizations and how the hierarchy structure is. We will take up different bits of other modules like say compensation, security, and we will hire up some employees to give you all a taste of like what flowcharts or business processes can be. So business process is a term which we will be often using in Workday. And finally, we would be working on reporting. So Workday comes up with extensive reporting systems. So that is also something which we will be covering in this entire program. So in any case, what we will be doing is we would be doing a lot of activities, a lot of hands-on, which will give you a fair idea about Workday HCM. And yeah, that's about it. And in any point of time, if you have any question, just stop me. Okay. So are we good to go?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
So coming to roadmap. So first, what we will do, we will learn about the organizations, organization assignments, and staffing model. So this might appear as something which you wouldn't understand right now, but I'm pretty sure at the end of this course, you will be adept with all these things. So organizations, organization assignments, staffing model, it's pretty much about the hierarchical structure of the organization. Like say there is a CEO, and then there are some VPs under him, then there are some senior managers under them, there are some managers, there are some individual contributors, there are some contract employees. So all the hierarchical structure that is there in an organization, in a company. So we consider that as organization, and that's the basic backbone of Workday. So this gives you a diagrammatic representation of like how things appear, how people appear, how company assets appear, how locations. A lot of things are there in organizations. Then we would be coming to compensation. So when I'm talking about compensation, it means the different compensation packages, the grades. Say I might be working as a manager and I would be having say grade 5. There would be a senior manager who would be having grade 6. So how the different compensation ranges, different allowances are different, and how you can set all these things up in Workday. So we would be considering that. We would be learning about that in the compensation chapter. Then we would move on to job profiles and positions. So this is pretty much self-explanatory. Like when I talk about job profiles, it's like the designations, say a finance analyst, or say an how do I put, say an HR admin. So all these designations come under job profiles, and positions are like say I have a vacancy, or how when you recruit somebody into the organization, so you would be recruiting that person to a particular position. So all these things we would come in this chapter. Followed by that, we would be learning about security. So as you know, this is a cloud system, and not everybody would be having access to everything. So some of the stuffs would be limited to only some people. Say admins would be having access to only a particular part of the entire organization. So all these things are maintained in the security subject. And then we would be moving to business process. So business process, as I said, it's like a flow chart. So say you want to automate something, and you if say you want to make something same, say you want to follow 10 steps while recruiting a person. So you can all make you can just run them down as number of steps, and Workday would take care of everything. You don't have to drop a sweat on that. So you can configure it accordingly and all these things. So any kind of process, any kind of flow chart, you consider that as a business process. Finally, we would be taking up hiring. So it's one of the business processes. So there are hundreds of business processes, and obviously we cannot visit all the business processes, but if we talk about the hiring business process, that would give you a fair bit of idea about how business processes work and how you configure business processes. There are different business processes like terminate business process, then change job business process. So any and every activity that you do in Workday, there might be a business process associated to that, which makes things easier. And yeah, and finally we would end this program with a reporting class. So here you can just build your own reports to see different things. Say you want to have a report of all the workers and then their compensation. You want to have a report of all the people who have entered time, say for the last month, and if anybody has worked overtime or not. So all these things you would come, and I hope I would be able to make you all confident that you are ready to use Workday by the end of this course. Okay, so as I said, this is kind of a client requirement. I believe after the end of this session, I can share with you all this PPT. So you can go through this PPT at your own pace, and you can just read the client requirements and everything on your own. So that would give you a better picture of what we would be doing by the end of this course. But to give you a rough estimate, a rough idea, so we are considering Superheroes Inc. as our client, and they have come up with this thing that okay, they want to move everything to Workday, everything to cloud. So they have come to us. Okay, you build a system for us, and we have these many workers, and you just hire them and set up some security and build their compensation structure. So if you see, for example, Spider-Man has a base pay of this. So all these things we would be doing in Workday, and yeah, by the end of this, we would be seeing all these people in the tenant. So yeah, so first 4 slides, there would be a lot of
question.
Sure.
Can you go back, Satyaki, two slides back to that superhero? Yes. So this on the left, the organization is supposed to have position management staffing model for management levels, manager and above.
Right.
What does that mean? I didn't get that part.
Yeah, we will come to everything. So it's just a basic idea, like how we would be progressing. So we will be coming to each and every point individually. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Right. Okay. So this is something which we would be doing parallelly with the theoretical part. So this will give you a clear idea, so you can be confident about how to do stuff. Okay, so firstly, Workday HCM offering. So as you would be knowing, Workday has their own finance module also. But what we are interested in is Workday HCM offering. So if you see, Workday HCM comes with a basket of modules like human resource management, talent management. When I say talent management, it means talent and performance. So say you want to do some performance management of a talent pool and all those things. So that comes up with talent management. Then you have recruitment. So say you want to hire someone, or maybe recruitment also contains the offboarding part also. Say a person gets terminated, or a person leaves the organization. So all these things can be maintained in Workday, like what all things are needed, what all, where the person would be, who the person would be reporting, what would be the person's compensation once the person comes into the organization, all these things, what would be the person's location, or any and everything related to recruitment can be maintained in Workday. Then we come to payroll. So payroll is another interesting module and a highly complicated module of Workday. So this is like how payroll processing would be done, how the person gets paid. It's in very layman's term, it's like how the person is going to be paid, how the payslip would look like, what all elements would be there in the payslip, like say the taxes and what all different particulars would be there. So payroll is like that. Then we have time tracking and absence management. So it's pretty much like a person's time, and in case a person is going on leave, what all kinds of holidays would be there, what would be the person's overtime charges. So that's pretty much it about time tracking and absence management. Then we have learning. So learning is as simple as it gets. It's like the learning module, the training and development. Yeah, like that. Then we come to compensation and benefits. So compensation and benefits is like the salary, the package, the allowances a person is getting, maybe some one-time payments, some ad hoc payments, and all these things. We would be touching compensation to a great extent in this program because it is one of the major modules of Workday. Then we come to reporting, again another major module of Workday. We would be touching that in this program. So this is like this is more on the analytical part. So say I want to have reports of all my direct reportees, and I want to see like who performed how in my last year. Or say I want to see all my reportees who were absent or who would be absent in my next month or who would be having holidays next month. So any and every kind of report. I'll not say all kinds of reports, whichever I want, but most of the reports which I feel I can have are possible within Workday. There are lots of Workday delivered reports. You can use all those reports, the delivered reports, and you can create your own reports also. Finally, coming to workforce planning and analytics. So there is a different branch of Workday called Workday Prism. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but it's a very strong analytical tool. So it's also in very booming requirement. So this is where the charts and the diagrams and the all the analytical parts come in. So that is also another Workday HCM offering. And as I mentioned, all these offerings, there are clearly a lot of touch points of all these modules with each other. For example, if you consider time tracking and absence and then payroll. So if a person is say absent for 10 days a month and you want to cut or you want to deduct the total salary from that person's monthly salary. So that would definitely have an impact on payroll, right? Similarly, say a person is a good performer and has done a fair bit of high performance in their talent module. The Workday system understands that, okay, this person has done really great, and that needs to be compensated through some sort of allowances or some sort of bonus. So you can clearly see a touch point of talent management with compensation and benefits, right? So all these things are clearly, they do have touch points with each other. So yeah, I mean, if you are working with Workday HCM or Workday Core, as I would like to say, then you would be getting a knowledge about all these things. But because of the vastness of each of these modules, you can also take up each modules and work on them. For example, Workday Core HCM is something which would give you a taste of everything, and that would allow you to choose the module which you want to proliferate into. So any question after this? Okay, so moving ahead, business objects, right? So business objects are the basic foundation of Workday. So everything and anything that we see in Workday are actually objects. Like I'm sure you have heard about object-oriented programming, right? So everything is an object here. So if you can see here, worker is an object, right? And then a worker would be having his address. A worker would be having a compensation. Like say, I am a worker in an organization and I would be having an address, right? I'm staying somewhere. I would be having a compensation. I would be having some benefits. I would be having some security groups. So what is a security group? A security group, maybe I might be an admin, or I might be a general employee of an organization. That's also a security group. So also then comes position. So maybe I am occupying a position in the organization. And then if you can see, position also proliferates into roles and job profile. So job profile means by the virtue of my position in an organization, what are my roles? What is my job profile? So say I am holding a position of a marketing manager in an organization, right? So what would be my roles in that organization? What would be what would be my day-to-day activities in the organization? Similarly, when I continue with job profile, it might be connected with a management level. Like, okay, this is a marketing manager. His job profile is that of a marketing manager. So what is the management level? So maybe my management level is say 5, or say I'm a senior manager. So my management level is 7. So everything is a business object here, and the beautiful thing about business object is that everything is connected to other things also. Like for example, in this photo, you can see worker. So because this is in green, I'll consider worker as the primary business object, and any and every other business objects are the related business objects. So we have a concept of PBO, that's primary business object, and related business objects, RBO. So with respect to worker, position is a related business object. Address is a related business object. Compensation is a related business object. But if we consider position as a primary business object, then roles and job profiles are the related business objects. Similarly, job profile, if we consider job profile as the primary business object, then management level, job classification, these are related business objects. So there are multiple business objects, and they can be having a lot of related business objects. Similarly, when we consider position, even a position as the primary business object, then worker can be the related business object also, right? So this is how the business objects are defined in Workday, and I will quickly go to my tenant for the first time to give you an idea about what business object is. Okay.
So this is the tenant actually where you'll be practicing. It's your sandbox.
So I will just type in business object details rather. Okay.
What is talent again? I'm sorry.
Tenant.
Talent is basically talent management, performance management. So like
it is a part of Workday, you're saying?
yes, definitely.
Okay.
No, I think
I
Sumit,
thought
you're
it's
asking
like a
about
name
that
of a website or something.
tenant, right?
No, this is a tenant. That's a talent.
So
Okay.
Sumit is
So,
also asking about the tenant, I guess.
yeah, I don't know if that, you keep saying tenant. This is tenant. Is that the website that you're on? Why?
Right. Yeah. So everything is in cloud, right? With Workday. So
right.
This is a tenant which your organization would be having when the organization chooses to partner with Workday. What Workday does, Workday provides your organization with multiple tenants.
Oh, gotcha.
So
okay, so like a license. It's like a license, you're saying.
Subscription license for
Exactly.
that, like Excel or
Okay.
Word, same kind of.
Got it. Okay.
Exactly. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And once you have access to these tenants, you can so there will be multiple tenants, like one where you can be doing your practice and all, and then there would be a final tenant where which would actually go live. So you would be using that tenant, right? So that's pretty much like license. I think my system is hung up again. Sorry about that. Okay, so here's a search box for this Workday tenant. Here you can search for anything and everything. Like if you feel that, okay, I'm not able to recall that, you can just type in that and then it would be giving, it's pretty intuitive and it would be giving you a lot of options. So I might not be knowing that, okay, this is the task that I need to search for, business object details, okay. So this is the one which I was searching for, and maybe I forgot the term object. So you can just type in business detail and it would be giving you a lot of different options. So this is the only option right now. Also, it's pretty intuitive by the fact that you can write just the first three letters and that's enough. If you just type in this, then that's also enough for Workday to understand what you're searching for. Okay, so moving on to business object details. So what I'll do is I will not search for worker because worker is a very large business object. I will search for, say, something like a location. I believe this is a small business object, relatively smaller than worker because worker has a lot of fields. Okay, so these are the fields. These are the related business objects. Data source, I'll come to that. Reports, I'll come to that later. Okay, so when I say the related business objects, you can see these are the related business objects. So if you go to the bottom, right bottom, okay, so there are lots and lots of business objects. So say for example, time zone. Okay, so if I click on this 2, then you will see the scheduling. Okay, let's not get into this. This is a little complicated as of now. Where can we go? Okay. Okay. So say address. Okay. So address is also a business object, and it's related to the location, right? So if I see this is the location, this is a business object, and it contains addresses. So there can be a lot of, so it also gives you a description, contains all the addresses for the location. So say I have a location of say Boston, and it would be having a lot of addresses of Boston. Then there is another field called primary address. So primary address is like if there is a worker and a worker has say 3 addresses. So what would be the primary address? So it's like a field. Okay, it's like a variable. If you are working with some coding or something, it's like a variable. Okay. Location as a business object has a lot of other fields. So if you can see, there are 240 fields, and the best thing about Workday is that you can create your own fields by use of calculated fields. We will come to that at a very later stage. It's a very advanced concept, so we will come to that later. So if you can see, there are a lot of field names which are there. So you can just, if you have access to tenants, what I would suggest is you can just pick up any business object of your liking. You can just search for a worker business object. That is probably the biggest business object. It would be having a lot of fields. And then you would get an idea like what all fields are available. So if you see altitude, so altitude gives you the altitude of the location, right? As the name suggests. Say there is an assignable role. So maybe if I have a location of say London, and which all roles I can assign to any person who belongs to London. So say my organization has a policy that okay, people who are from London, they cannot be say an HR admin. I'm just giving an example. So if you have to be an HR admin, you cannot be from London. So maybe in this assignable role, we will see that HR admin is not there. Okay, so I'm just giving you an example of how fields can be. Any question on this?
Yeah, it's a quick question here, Satya.
Yeah.
So how do you distinguish between a primary business object and the related business object?
Right. So as I said, again, going back to the PPT, so a primary business object depends on how you would want to see things. So say you want to work with a worker. Say you are creating a report. Okay. So you are creating a report about 10 workers who belong to a particular location, and you want to display their salary. Okay. Now, if you want it all depends on your perspective. So if you want to create a report based on worker and then display their locations and then their salary, then you would consider worker as the primary business object. Now, conversely, say you want to create a report with the locations and then display all the workers who belong to that location and all the salary or maybe the average salary of that location, then location would be your primary business object. So it's all relative, and it all depends on your perspective.
Okay, so it means that any of the related business object can be a primary business object in some other perspective, right?
Exactly. So that's what I said here. So say in this case, worker is displayed as a primary business object, right? And
right,
the related business objects are position, security group, address. However,
so
if we want to consider position as a primary business object, then worker becomes the related business object here.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Makes sense?
Okay. Question.
Yeah.
So when you say, when you're running a report and this becomes a primary business object and then the other becomes a related object. Now you keep saying report. So this concept of business objects is only while we are running a report, or is it just like if you're trying to, get a report of existing, information, or does this concept also apply when, we are adding someone new, let's say we're onboarding someone, and, I'm just a little confused with the word reports, I guess.
I understand. So it's a great question, and I'll try to give you an answer that would clear your confusion. So why I'm talking about report is that because reports you create, right?
Yeah.
All the other things are actually available to you. Now, say for example, you are creating. So whenever you are creating something in Workday, right? Then you have to work on the business object. So for example, you are creating a calculated field. I didn't want to get into the complications in the first class, but say for example, you are creating a calculated field. Now, when I talk about field, you can see there are lots of fields which are delivered by Workday themselves. For example, country.
Yeah.
Okay. So country is a field which is related to location. Now, say you want to create a calculated field called country, and you want to, how do I put it? Say you want to consider only the countries that belong to the continent Asia.
Okay.
So that's a field that you are going to create yourself, right? That's something which Workday doesn't deliver.
Right.
So in that case, what you would be doing, you would be creating a calculated field of your own. In that case, also, it's not a report specific thing that you are creating. It's a field that you are creating, and you can use it, say, while configuring a business process. Also, you can use that while configuring, say, a time calculation also. So there are lots of other things, calculations involved.
Yeah, or compensation or whatever.
Exactly. So say you want to, that's a good point. I'll just elaborate on that too. So say you have separate compensation grades for Asia, separate compensation grades for America, and say something else for Europe. So there are 3 compensation grades, right? So that would depend on the employee's eligibility, whether an employee's location is, say, France, or say Bangladesh, or say Mexico. Right. So for that, you have to consider, you have to create something so that Workday gets to know. So in those cases, you use these business objects too.
Okay.
So basically, long things short, you just, when you're creating something, you would be getting to work with business objects.
Okay. Okay, got it. Yes. So yeah, that clears it a little.
So this is Umar. I have a question. This is Umar. So Satya, so when we creating reports on a client request, so is a part of requirement gathering to which field is become to a business object and which field become to a related business object, right?
Yeah. So basically, when your client, your client will not be knowing everything about Workday, right? So your client will be ignorant about what's a business object. So you need to consider. So for example, you are creating a report on worker, and your client wants a field with job classification, right? So you might not be having a direct relationship between a worker business object and the job classification business object.
Okay.
So there comes the need to understand the interrelation. So however, you can see, so from worker, you get to position, you get to job profile, and then you can go to job classification. So there might be possible that you can create some calculated fields which will connect worker to job classification.
Okay.
Sometimes it might not be possible. Then you have to tell your client that unfortunately, this is a Workday limitation, that there is no clear relationship and we cannot build any relationship. So it's just like that. So you have to have a clear idea about what all business objects are there and how they are interrelated.
Okay.
Okay. Any more questions, or can I move ahead? Okay. Taking silence as a yes, I'll just move ahead. Okay, now we come to organizations. So when I'm talking about organizations, what do you mean by organizations? Like, what is the basic idea or what is the basic understanding about what an organization is? Anybody?
It's a group of people, company, I guess.
Perfect. Exactly. That's the simplest and pardon?
I think the level of hierarchy in the company.
Perfect. Yeah. So organization is a group of workers. That's the simplest, right? So any organization means a group of workers. So organization doesn't have to mean an entire organization, right? I don't know if I'm complicating it, but say I am working in IBM. That doesn't have to mean that I am talking about IBM as an organization. I might be working in the workday practice of IBM. So my IBM workday practice itself is an organization. Furthermore, say I am working in a project which is, say, my client is, say, an XYZ company. Okay, so we are 15 people working for that project. So that means those 15 of us are an organization, right? Having said that, say for example, IBM is located globally, right? Now, say I'm talking about IBM Australia as a practice, and there are people based out of Australia who are working in IBM Australia. So IBM Australia itself can be an organization. So any group of people is considered an organization in Workday. Now, there can be different kinds of organizations in Workday. So when I'm talking about organizations in Workday, let's not confuse this with the overall organization. Okay, this might get a little tricky at times. But when I'm talking about organizations in Workday, it means organizations in Workday. When I'm using the word organization, most of the times I will be meaning organizations in Workday and not the entire organization as a whole, right? So firstly, why organization or why a grouping is needed? Number one, for security purpose. Like if I'm talking about, say, IBM Australia, I belonging to, say, IBM Brazil should not be having access to the details of IBM Australia, right? Or maybe, say, the HR manager of a company, say a Novartis company, should not be having access to the finance department of Novartis company, right? Just giving an example. So for the security purpose, grouping of people is very much important. Number two is reporting. So say I am creating a report for all the workers in the manager level, right? And my senior manager should have access to all the information of the managers in the organization, right? But anyone beyond or anyone higher than the senior manager, say I'm talking about a director, the senior manager should not be having access to that. So that in that case also organization comes into being, like, okay, there has to be a report created for only the managers. Thirdly, we come to the business processes. So say I am onboarding some individual contributors. So say I'm onboarding some interns in my organization. So I can be having a different process flow of recruitment. So say there would be 3 rounds of interviews. There would be 1 round of group discussion. There would be a lunch coupon once the person gets involved. Say a partner would be checking, a compensation partner would be checking all the compensations. So there would be a general flow or general pattern while recruiting an intern. Similarly, there would be a different flow while recruiting a manager. Say, I don't want to have a group discussion in that round. So there can be different business processes based on your management levels. There can be different business processes based on your work stream. So say a person being recruited in the HR department will not be having the same round of interviews or same kind of recruitment rounds as an engineer, say. Right. So in these cases of business processes, you need to have a group. So anywhere when you need to have groups, organization comes into the picture of Workday, right? So when I'm talking about organization, if you can see, it's the different organizational structures meet specific needs but are shared across unified platform. So when I'm talking about unified platform, it's the tenant, Workday, and different organizational structures. So there can be different organizational structures. We will come to that in the next slide, next slide maybe. But depending on the requirement, depending on the grouping need, there can be different organizations. Does it make, I mean, do you have any questions on this?
So it's not a question. I'm just trying to make sure I understand.
Right.
So for example, one organization could be by location, like everybody working in Asia, or different locations. One organization could be by their job profiles, right? Like one group is of engineers, one group is of sales.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
So location, you correctly identified, it's one of the types of organization.
Right.
Job profiles might not be, but yeah, I mean, the idea is correct.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, default and dynamic assignments to reduce manual entry. So obviously, like say you are as someone just now say job profiles. So say you have an HR job profile and you have a sales job profile. So obviously, for salespeople, we know that there are some incentives, right, for their sales. But for HR, there is no incentive. So maybe if I am onboarding some people, there becomes a repetitive task that, okay, people are getting hired for sales, I have to add some allowances. For HR, there is no allowance needed. So this, to reduce this manual task, what we will do is we will add these things in Workday itself, and Workday will take care of it. So you don't have to decide, okay, because this person is in sales, so he would be getting, say, a bike allowance or a sales allowance maybe, and because this person is in HR, so he will not be getting this allowance. So because to remove this manual task, we can have an organization which will divide this these two classes of people, and then it can be done automatically by Workday. Okay, seamless integration with security reporting and BP. So BP stands for business process. So I might be referring to business process as BP at times. So as I said, because it's pretty much self-explanatory, like initially I've said, security reporting and business process, these three are the main requirements for which we need organizations in Workday. And it comes in with a seamless integration. And also auditable changes. So it's also a very important functionality of Workday is that almost everything is auditable. When I say auditable, it means that it keeps a proper tracking of who changed what. So say, for example, if I have created, say I have created an organization, okay, and I made some changes to the organization. So next day, if my colleague enters the system, if he or she has the access, then they can easily see the who made change to what, and what change did that person make, and when exactly was the change made. So this is also a very important feature of Workday, which increases or which strengthens the security. Okay. Moving on to the next slide. If you have any question, you can just interrupt me. Reorganization event. So when we are creating an organization, this is a prior requirement in Workday that you need to create a reorganization of your own. So let's just assume that I am creating an organization which we would be creating as a part of our activities, say Superheroes Inc., the organization that we're creating. But before we create any organization or any structure, or we start hiring, we have the first thing that we have to do is create a reorganization event. Now, what does this reorganization event do? Reorganization event helps us to make changes to the organization later. So say, for example, I have 5 levels of hierarchy in my organization. Now I want to add one more, or I want to branch out the third level into 2 parallel levels. So all these changes or modifications are helped by reorganization. As the name suggests, reorganization. So any changes that we want to make to the organization, we want to add somebody, we want to remove. So all these things are possible via reorganization event. So this is the first thing that we have to do. So if you have access to the tenant, I request everybody to create a reorganization event of your own. I'll just show you how to do that. In the search box, just type in create reorganization. You can just type in create reo, that would come up. In the create reorganization section,
A little bit time. Okay.
you can just I would suggest you to use your own initials or use some initials that would help, because this is a practice tenant and like millions of people use this tenant. So just use something which would help you to remember. I prefer using RW. You can use anything of your own and just write down, say, so you can just type it superheroes, heroes Inc. This is a name which I'm giving to my reorganization. You can give your own names. And for the reorganization date, that means that's the starting point of your service. So I tend to use 01/01/1900 because that's the earliest possible date. But you can choose your own date. What I would advise you is to choose some date which is not today's date. Some days earlier, you can use the 1st of June if you want. And you can put your own description, but that is not needed. And then just click on OK. It's a very simple task. I would request everybody to do it if you are able to do that. And just let me know if you're done.
Sorry, they don't have a tenant access right
We
now.
don't have access.
So I will give them
okay.
eventually. So you go ahead and they will have the notes and they will have the access. They will follow that as their activity.
Perfect. Okay. So
Satyaki, I have a
this
question.
is
Good.
Sure.
So you said give your initials because there's millions of reorganizations in the system. So when we go into tenant, we see everybody else's reorganization also, you're saying?
So for this practice tenant, you would be, because you are actually logged in as Logan McNeil.
Okay.
So if you, I'll just give you a brief of this one also. So this is the Workday community. So when you start working with Workday, you belong to a part of the community, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here, this is a practice tenant, a GMS tenant, where you can log in as these people. So these are imaginary people. These are not real people. Okay.
Oh,
these are imaginary people. Yeah.
So it's only during the practice that we will see all this.
Exactly.
Okay,
Otherwise, you will not be having access. Right.
Got it.
Right. So this is the first thing that I would request you all to do before you start doing anything, before you start watching this video again, or before you start watching the PPT, just make the reorganization. This is the first step for any Workday thing that you do. Okay. Moving on to the different types of organizations. Now, this is a list of organizations. This is not exhaustive. There are other types of organizations also. So coming on to the first and the most important organization type, especially for our use case, because we are in HCM, that's supervisory organization. Now, what is a supervisory organization? A supervisory organization is nothing but your reporting, but your organization based on your reporting manager. So if I go back to the tenant and if I open, say, Logan McNeil as a person whom I have logged in as. So if you see, this is her profile. You can see a lot of stuff here. So there's a job, there's a contact, personal compensation. This is what I was talking about. So when you go to compensation, You can see everything. So total salary, base pay, compensation package, grade profile. You can see a list of other stuffs. So there are a lot of stuffs, and then people have also kept on adding stuff because it's a practice tenant. And you can see the benefits. You can see her performance also. That, okay, let me go to the performance. Yeah, so these are the reviews. This is a weight. So everything and anything absence also you can see, like you can see also this person is actually on leave right now. So you can see the absence balance. So there are like 16 accrued to this date. And so these are again specific, very, very specific to their actual modules. What I wanted to show is a team. Okay. So when you click on the team, you see the organizational chart. So Logan McNeil is there and she is reporting to Joy Banks, I guess. Right. Joy Banks. So Joy Banks has 8 people under her. Barry Sykes, Pedro Santiago, Logan McNeil, Robert Singh, Tammy Calhoun. And so there are 8 people, right? And there are people under them also. What I wanted to say is, so Joy Banks has 8 people under her, right? So this is an organization. So you can create a business process that, okay, anybody who gets hired under Joy Banks would be having a specific process flow. So it's a group of people, right? Everybody working under Joy Banks based on the reporting manager. Now everybody working under Logan McNeil. So there are 51 people actually who are working. So that's also a group of people. So these classification, these group of people, or how this is done, is called supervisory organization. So supervisory organization is nothing but an organization based on the reporting managers. Any question on this?
No.
Right, because this is going to be the most important organization, and I would like you all to be very, very clear about supervisory organization. I don't think it's a very difficult thing. It's a very simple concept. It's just an organization based on your current reporting manager. That's a supervisory organization, and that's it. Next, we come to matrix organization. This is not that important when it comes to learning Workday. So matrix organization is mainly for indirect manager relations. So for example, when you're working on projects, so I might be having a reporting manager and I would be having a project manager also. But the project manager will be my manager for some short duration of time, say 4 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, whatever. So in that case, that project manager of mine will not be a direct manager of mine, right? So in those cases, we have dotted line relationships. If you heard this term, so it's for dotted line relationships or dotted line managers, we have this matrix organization. But in a lot of companies, we don't have these kind of organizations. So we generally don't use matrix organization type. But again, Workday is a very robust system, so it has the potential to have this matrix organization types, and we can use matrix organization types. Next comes the retiree. So retiree, as the name suggests, if a person has retired and you want to group all these people into an organization, you have the retiree. So it's again a very rarely used organization type, very, very rarely used organization type. But yeah, I mean, as the name suggests, it groups all the retired admins and partners and all the retired personals and then groups them. Next, we come to the location hierarchy. So as somebody just pointed out, that can location be an organization? Definitely. Location hierarchy is a kind of organization type, and it groups all the locations. Now, what is the difference between location hierarchy and locations? So a location can be, say, New York, location can be Boston, location can be London, location can be New Delhi, location can be whatever. So all these places, all these cities, they are locations. Now, location hierarchy is again grouping all these locations. right? So if I draw a parallel between supervisory and location hierarchy, supervisory organization groups all the workers working under the same manager. Location hierarchy groups all the locations under a same say location umbrella. Say for example, I have a location called say India, and a location hierarchy called India, which contains or which groups locations of say Delhi, Kolkata, and say Mumbai. Make sense? Any question?
Like in
Okay.
IBM USA, there's a couple of organizations. For example, I used to work for IBM Louisiana, and I heard that there are like couple of locations. IBM USA, then there are IBM Louisiana, IBM California. That controls like a regional type of area.
So IBM Louisiana is a group location.
Sorry, IBM Louisiana is?
So you're saying IBM Louisiana would be the group location in this case?
Yeah, exactly. For if we compare to IBM USA.
Yeah. So IBM USA is the
Main location.
main location. Okay.
Yeah. Then IBM Louisiana controls like Texas and the Louisiana.
Okay. Okay. So what is the location hierarchy again? So you're saying IBM Louisiana comes under IBM USA.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the hierarchy.
Yes.
I'll just sorry to interrupt. So when you're talking about IBM Louisiana and the other IBM entities, so
Yeah.
there is another organization type actually called company. So
Okay.
we usually do it that way in Workday. So for example, if you talk about IBM India, IBM Australia, so all these are different legal entities of the company. So maybe IBM Louisiana comes under company and company hierarchy. So maybe there can be an IBM USA as the hierarchy, as the topmost company hierarchy for IBM. And then it might be having some companies downstream, right?
Okay.
So in that case, company hierarchy can work. For location, you can just ignore the IBM bit. Say Louisiana, I'm not very good with the US geography. Beg your pardon for that. But maybe certain sections of certain cities in USA come under a particular location.
Okay. I have a question here. Could this be easily explained by saying every country like has a corporate headquarter, right?
Right.
So let's say, for example, in this case, we are talking about IBM. They have a corporate headquarter US, and then they have all the other locations under. So that could be the hierarchy that they are using. I mean, it's just an
I will suggest you not to confuse
Okay.
IBM with the location, because that's something which comes with the company, is a legal entity.
Right.
Okay. And location is something that is devoid of whether it's being used by IBM or Deloitte or
no, that I'm just using that as an example, Satyaki. But my point was that when you are saying hierarchy, you're talking about location hierarchy. You're saying IBM US, and then there will be US, and then there will be other locations under that.
Right,
so I'm saying, isn't a hierarchy, could that also be that, okay, this will be a corporate based headquarter, and then there will be other locations in
it can be, definitely. So what I'll do is I'll just select location, say London, and if you see, is it a part of a location? Yeah, see London, if you see the location name, and you can see it's a part of two location hierarchies. One is EMEA, and the other one is Storage Europe. Let's just ignore Storage Europe for the time being. So if you see EMEA as the location hierarchy, which contains Europe, Middle East, and Africa, so you can see the members in this location hierarchy. So it contains all these locations, say Geneva, Munich, Stockholm, all these locations are there. Does it make things clear?
Yes. So within London, all these other locations are coming. you're saying?
No. Within this location hierarchy, EMEA,
Within
the
EMEA.
other locations are coming. So London is a part of this location hierarchy. So location hierarchy sits on top.
Okay, got it.
Now you can have
Understood.
another location hierarchy also,
Mhm.
which is on top of this hierarchy. So you can have a location hierarchy, say the entire world. Okay.
Right.
And it
Mhm.
might contain EMEA, it might contain APAC. So these hierarchies will come below, say, the world. Okay, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yes.
Kind of relative word, how to we look at the things.
Exactly. So that's about location hierarchy. Custom organizations is something which is configurable, like say you don't have any, so say like location, you have a definite pattern, like, okay, this is the location. So if you don't have a definite pattern of organizations, so say you pick up just 5 members from HR team and 3 members from finance team, so there is no definite pattern and you want to still create a, so mostly you just have, say, an organizational cultural committee kind of a thing. Okay, and you pick up 3 members from the HR team, 1 member from the marketing team, and you just ask them to, okay, you are a committee now and you take responsibility of all the office picnics and all those things. So there is no definite pattern, and you can create your own rules, like, okay, if you have to be a part of this organization, then you have to have these things. So you set up your own organizational rules and how you want to define. So then you have custom organizations. Next comes company hierarchy. I already explained, is a legal entity. Usually, say you have different company legal entities for USA, different entities for Europe. Say there is a company called XYZ. So they might be having offices in USA, they might be having offices in UK, they might be having offices in Canada. So they have their different legal entities. So in those cases, they would be different companies, organizations, and they can be again grouped into company hierarchies, right? Same thing happens with cost center. So you might be having different cost centers, say HR cost center, finance cost center, operations cost center, or maybe you can have an executive cost center for all the people who directly report to the board of directors, or that totally depends on how you want to, or your organization wants to classify things. So maybe you have a cost center for sales, you have a cost center for marketing, and you want to bring them into the same hierarchy as sales and marketing, right? So then you would be having a cost center hierarchy of sales and marketing, below which there would be 2 cost centers, cost center sales, cost center marketing. And again, cost center sales and marketing would be also a part of another superior cost center hierarchy, say, how do I put it? Say executive. So just giving you the idea how it looks like. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Then comes region. So region is pretty similar to locations, but then there are certain organizations who use regions. For example, maybe you don't want to go ahead with locations and you want to use, say, east, west, north, south, or maybe Central Europe as a region, or maybe East USA or something like that as a region. Then you use these kind of, so this actually brings in more flexibility to the system. Then we come to project or project hierarchy. So if you want to group projects, so say I am having an organization and I want to group my small projects into a particular group, my medium projects into a particular group, and my large projects into a particular group. So I would be having that kind of group. Yeah, that's pretty much it about the projects and project hierarchies. So maybe for project hierarchies, you want to bring in all the projects that belong to a particular client. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Similar to funds, gifts, and grants. So these are again very rarely used organization types, but which are available in Workday. Grants and gifts, they come with, and even fund, they come with compensation. So again, these are very rarely used. And personally, to be honest, I have never used all these organization types. Then we come to pay groups. This is more specific to payroll. So say there are two categories of employees in my organization. One, I pay them fortnightly, and two, I pay them monthly. So the mode of payment is different for both of them. So I would be dividing these people into a fortnightly group and a monthly group, right? So this is again another way of classifying organizations or classifying people. Apart from that, there are other organization types also, like committees and academic units. So, there are lots of universities and colleges who also implement Workday, like University of Melbourne. They are also a very big implementer of a very big client of Workday. So in those kind of, for them specifically, these kind of organization types are pre-built by Workday. Then we have talent pool, which is used for performance management. So there are also different other types of organizations, but majorly what we will be focusing on would be the supervisory organization. We would be focusing a little bit on the company, a little bit on the cost center also, and I believe a little bit on the location hierarchy also. Rest of the things, I would suggest, if you want, you can just have a look at yourself, but they are not that much used. Okay. Any question on the different types of organizations? I believe it's pretty straightforward, but yeah, any question?
Yes.
Yes, Satya, quick question here. So this region hierarchy, that's coming under the costing organization types. So
Right.
there may be a combination of the location hierarchy and the region hierarchy. Would that be possible too?
Not exactly. Like if you want to group all the locations into a region, is this your question?
That's right, yes.
No, that is not possible. So they cannot be used. I mean, a region can be a group of regions only. I mean, sorry, a region hierarchy can be a group of regions only. So when you create a region, say I'll just go ahead and create a region. So anything you want to do, you can just type in create region.
Okay.
Regional operations down for the supervisory.
No, that's it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Now this is a region. This is a region hierarchy. So if you see, EMEA is a region. So you already saw the location hierarchy as EMEA, right? But that was a different. So if you see this one, this EMEA is a location hierarchy. Okay. This is a type. You can see the types here. So this is EMEA type location hierarchy. But if you see here, it's EMEA and its type is regional hierarchy. So we cannot intermix different organizations, but we can have a similar feeling. So that's why I said, like in some of the organizations, they prefer using the region, but mostly we can do with location only.
Okay.
But how do we create the region? Like you were about to show us?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually not able to create that. I think this is already.
Maybe they don't have access for it.
Yeah, I think I don't have access to it. I think I don't have access to this. Otherwise, because create.
Going to reorganization under actions. Can you go through?
I think I don't have access to it because I'm not able to create location also. I'll just sign in as somebody else. Let me just check.
Because we are in her profile, so she does not have access to create the region or location. Maybe the one
that is possible. That is possible. So just give her an access. Let me just see. Just give me a minute. Again, this is something which we will cover later. This is how you give access to people.
Or is it possible that because she's on leave, that's why she does not have the access to do all the?
No. That will not be the case. Let me just check once. Let me just sign in as somebody else. Maybe Morgan.
Yeah, I think he's a CEO. He has all the access.
I believe he should have, but I'm not sure. I'll have to investigate this because some of the accesses might not. Sorry about that. Oh, you have to access. This person. Let me just check it out. This is not coming up. I'll do one thing. I'll just check it from my end, and maybe in the next class I can mention like there would be some issue with the security. Why this person is not, because you can just find it in here only.
What I see is everybody has a role assigned to their name. Maybe even the CEO does
Yeah.
not have the role assigned to him.
Yeah, but it's like this person is not able to create. That's what I was checking, because this is I mean, these things do come up actually, region. Let me check from my end, and I believe there is something related to security. This person does not have that security, maybe that's why she's not able to create the region, but this is something which she will be able to do. And we do have an activity based on this like later. So you are supposed to create companies, create cost centers, create locations and everything. So we would be needing this access. I'll just check it from my end, and I'll inform in the next class.
Can we create some, can we do some activity so that I can repeat that activity, whatever possible with that security? Like for example, supervise the organization only.
I'm not sure if they can create the super also. Let me just check. Yeah, we can create super also. Okay, so let me just, we will do all these things. We will create everything. So before that, we come to our first major organization, and this is going to be the major organization that we will learn. So as it suggests, is the foundation to ACM and group workers into the management hierarchy, can be a business unit, department, etc. So any and everything that we will be doing in ACM will be doing based on the supervisory organization. So it's like your team actually. Okay, you are reporting to a manager, and anybody in that team is a supervisory organization. Now, say for example, if I want to create a supervisory organization, so I'll just type in create supervisory organization. It seems Logan has the access to create supervisory organization, and obviously it would be asking for the reorganization. I'll just type in RW and Workday will find it for me. So you can see the availability date is 1900, 1st January. So I can have a supervisory organization anytime before that name. So I'll just name it, say RW Superheroes Inc. That would be my topmost supervisory organization. Let's not do anything because these are not mandatory fields. So if I want to give it a code and I want to include that name in the codes, I can do all these things. So these all are dependent on the client requirements, like what your client wants you to do. Okay. And if I want to include the manager or the leader in the name, if I want to add the name of the manager, then I'll just check on this. So let's check on it. Right now we will not be having any manager, so it will not appear anything. Now coming to the subtype, so it has these predefined subtypes. So it can be company, it can be. So when I say company, please don't confuse it with the organization type company. Okay, this is a company. It's a type of company. Okay, don't just confuse this with the organization type company. It's a subtype. Okay, it can be a department, can be division, group, project, supervisory, whatever. So let's just name it division maybe. And coming to visibility. Okay, now who all can see this organization? If I make it everyone, then everyone can see this organization. Say I have made an organization and one of you goes into the tenant and try to find this organization, you will be able to see this organization. Role assignees. Role assignees means a person who can assign roles. So for example, if I have a supervisory organization, first, please confirm if you have a proper idea about a supervisory organization and you're not confused about it. Can I get a confirmation from everybody, like they understand what a supervisory organization is?
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
I haven't. Can we like keep one kind of organization in mind while we're doing this, so it'll be easier for us to understand, like sales
Exactly.
organization or something.
Anything, yeah.
Whatever you want.
Okay, so we can do that
within, you know, like what if you have some specific, maybe it'll be easier for us to understand.
Exactly, that was a point. Like we came up with this client requirement and it gives you an idea about this organization. Right. So let me just go to the
Well, I agree with
chart kind of
Samir,
a thing.
because like if we create something right now, then we can like execute it and then we can work on it and grow it as well.
Exactly.
With the project.
Right. So let us consider this organization. My screen is visible, right? This organization, yes. You are able to see. Okay.
Yes.
Right. So if you see this organization, there are 6 people, right? Batman, Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, Hulk, Superman, and Iron Man. Okay. So now if I see you have the supervisory organizations named beside them. So Batman is the CEO, right? He's at the top. So let us draw Batman here. Okay. So let's just name it that. Okay. So he lies at the top.
Right.
Now, if you see the next person, Spider-Man, his manager is the Batman. Okay. So Spider-Man comes below Batman.
Yeah.
This would be Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Just type Spy. Next, Wonder Woman. Her manager is also the Batman.
Okay.
So Wonder Woman will also come here. So that would be a WW Ravi. Then we come to the Hulk. His manager is a Spider-Man. So Hulk would come under Spider-Man. Right?
Yeah.
Next, we have the Superman. He works under Wonder Woman. So we will come to Superman here. And we have the Iron Man, who also works under Wonder Woman. So let's go with IR. So this is how the organization wants to be. This is the organization that we have to build. So Batman, so Wonder Woman and Spider-Man work under Batman. Hulk works under Spider-Man, and Superman and Iron Man works under Wonder Woman. So if we consider this is the organization that we are going to build. Now, how many supervisory organizations do we have here? Again, having said that, supervisory organization is the group. Pardon?
Is it 3?
How is it 3? Can you explain?
So one is Batman, then the second is Spider-Man, and then Wonder Woman. Because Wonder Woman has someone under her, so this is one organization. Then this is the second one, right. And then under Batman we have all this, so this is third. So
what you're saying is this is one organization.
Yes.
this is another organization.
Yes.
And this is another organization, right?
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing.
Sorry about that. This.
Right. Maybe even the
Right.
ones under them, because that will be a part of under Batman, right? So it's all one organization, isn't it?
So technically you are correct. So that's how we do count the supervisory organizations. But I mean, the answer would be 4. Technically you're correct. So
Okay.
we have one organization whose manager is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
This is number 1 organization.
Okay.
Whose manager is Spider-Man. Another organization whose manager is Wonder Woman.
Okay.
This is number 2. Another organization whose manager is Batman.
Right.
And then we have another organization. This organization, this is the topmost supervisory organization. So Batman will be the member of that supervisory organization. So when I say the supervisory organization, it's just it contains the workers based on their managers. I would again reiterate this term, workers based on their managers. So Hulk is actually a part of the supervisory organization whose manager is Spider-Man. Superman is a part of the organization whose manager is Wonder Woman. Iron Man is a worker, is a part of supervisory organization whose manager is Wonder Woman. So Superman and Iron Man belong to the same supervisory organization, right? Is it clear? Superman
Right,
and
yeah.
Iron Man belonging to the same supervisory organization. Similarly, Hulk also belongs to the same supervisory organization whose manager is Spider-Man.
Yes.
Now Spider-Man and Wonder Woman, they belong to a supervisory organization whose manager is Batman. So this is another supervisory organization. Now, if we consider Batman, he also has to be a part of a supervisory organization, right? Because otherwise you'll not be able to hire him. To hire him, you need to have a supervisory organization. But for Batman, you cannot have any other manager because he's at the top. So we will have another supervisory organization whose manager remains Batman. So if you go back to the question or to the requirement, you see Batman is the manager of Batman.
Right.
Because he's at the top. So in total, you have 4 supervisory organizations. One is the Superheroes Inc. That's the topmost, this one.
Yeah.
Let me just write down. Sorry about that. So Superhero Inc. is the name of the topmost superorg. Superorg is the short term of supervisory organization. So if in case I just mention superorg, don't get confused. Then we have the second supervisory organization whose name is Superheroes Executives. Spider-Man and Wonder Woman are part of that. So Superhero Executive. Then we have Superheroes HR. Hulk is a part of that supervisory organization whose manager is Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
So yeah, right. So we have Superhero HR. So this is the name of another supervisory organization. And what is the last supervisory organization?
Sales and marketing.
Superheroes, sales and marketing. Perfect. Yeah. So when we have the superhero sales and marketing, this is another supervisory organization. So we have 4 supervisory organizations. One is the sales and marketing. And the members of the supervisory organization are Superman and Iron Man. Superhero HR. Who are the members? There's only one member, Hulk. Superhero executives. Members are Spider-Man and Wonder Woman. And Batman is the manager of the supervisory organization. And then we have a topmost supervisory organization, which is Superhero Inc. So what I'm doing here is I'm just creating the Superhero Inc. Make sense?
So the supervisory organization does not include the manager and the person under the manager. It just has
No.
okay.
It contains only the members, not the manager.
Okay.
But except it's the topmost super. So if you go through the slides, you'll see each supervisory organization will have a manager who is not a member of the supervisory organization. Only the topmost supervisory organization will contain the manager as its member. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Any question on this?
No.
All right. And when we are hiring workers, so we will be doing that. That would be one of our major activities. When we'll be hiring workers, we would be hiring them in the supervisory organizations, because we can't hire workers into companies or cost centers or locations. We have to hire workers in the supervisory organization. This is one of the most important things that you need to keep in mind while working with Workday. You can only hire, whenever you're talking about workers and hiring them, it's the supervisory organization. Supervisory organization is the HR part. The rest, you can work as some assisting organization or additional parts, but supervisory organization is the main thing. Okay, so I will just create a supervisory organization. Superheroes Inc. This is the topmost supervisory organization that we are creating. Let's just keep the visibility to everyone right now. There are other options, but I'll not go into that. So primary location, what we will see here is, say if I go back to this table, what is the primary location of this supervisory organization? The primary location will always be the location of the manager. This is another important thing that you need to keep in mind. The primary location of the supervisory organization has to be the location of the manager and not the location of the member. Okay, I will repeat again. For example, if you see superhero sales and marketing, Superman has a location of London. Iron Man has a location of New York. So what would be the location for superhero sales and marketing? Will it be London or New York?
London, because Wonder Woman is in
London. Exactly. Perfect. So any supervisory organization would be having the location of its manager. So here for this case, location would be New York. I'll just set in New York. Okay. So there are these things were already created by some people, so they are coming up as options, but this is Workday delivered. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just select New York. Now coming to staffing model, I guess we will discuss about this in the next class. But I mean, we have two different kinds of staffing models. We will discuss it in the next class. I think it would be too much for today. Assign roles. If you want to assign any role to anybody, say you want to make someone the manager, if you want to keep an HR admin or HR BP or whatever the roles, there are multiple roles. You can just click on this and then you can see absence partner, HR analyst. There are lots of roles which are predefined. You can create your own roles also. So say, for example, you have a new role in your organization, say XYZ partner is a role which is there in your organization and you want to assign somebody to that role. You want to create a new role. So you can create and add it here. These are some of the roles which are Workday defined, Workday delivered, and you can assign.
So you're saying
now coming to organize.
I'm sorry. So you're saying assign like a second role to the same person? Is that?
You can assign, you can create here. So say there are multiple roles. Say I'm going to timekeeper. Okay. So timekeeper is a role and you want to assign it to anybody. Say Joy Banks, you want to assign it to. So you just write it down, Joy Banks, and this person gets assigned to timekeeper. So any time entry, any task is done by Joy Banks for this organization. And you can have your own role. So say there is a person who has a lot of other roles in the organization. So we will come to roles and everything later, but you can assign roles here.
No, yeah. So my question was, do you use this field when you have to assign an additional task to this supervisory organization? So we're doing a supervisory organization, right? So we have, let's say, for example, Hulk or
Right.
Spider. So if Hulk is, I think, sales, right? He's sales and marketing. Hulk is what? HR manager. So if Hulk is HR
Right.
manager, when we do assign to, will that be HR related activities or will that be the extra activities that we are assigning to Hulk?
It can be anything.
Okay.
Having said that, I'll just want to clear it out now. I will touch up on this point later also, that this is a job profile. This is not a role. Okay. Job profile is different and role is different with respect to Workday. So job profile is basically dependent on the kind of job that you do. So say I am working in HR and I'm an HR admin. So that would be my job profile.
Okay.
I might be having 50 roles. So I might be having a role. I'll go to this person. Okay, let me just create the supervisory organization and I'll come to your question. Let's just park it for 1 minute. Okay.
Okay.
So say you want to add this role and you do it here. And then there is a tab called organization assignments. Now, what is that? You can see company, cost center, region, division. So there are lots of organization types. And what does it mean? So if you are creating a supervisory organization and which all companies can be allowed in the supervisory organization, or which all companies the members of the supervisory organization are allowed to be a part of. For example, if I add, say, coming back to IBM, say I add IBM USA and IBM UAE. So I am allowed to enter people only belonging to IBM UAE and IBM Australia. I will, sorry, USA. I will not be able to enter employees from IBM Australia. Does it make sense?
No,
Yes.
can you go again, please?
Pardon?
Can you go again, please?
Sure, sure. So let me use the whiteboard again. How do I make it small? Sorry. Okay, so say there are different people. Okay. So say I have different legal entities, like say there is a USA, say company X has a USA company, has Australia company, and say a UK division, UK company. So this is a company which I'm talking about, right? Company with respect to Workday. It's an organization, company. Okay. So any employee working in this company, USA, any employee working in this company, Australia, and this company, UK. So say there is an employee called, say, Peter. Okay. So Peter is working in USA company. So Peter, and if we use, say, this company USA here, that means Peter is allowed to be a part of our supervisory organization. However, if we don't add USA here, then we will not be able to use Peter in this supervisory organization. This is not supervisory organization. Okay, this is the company. This is not supervisory organization. Supervisory organization is Superhero Inc. If we allow USA, ex-USA here in the supervisory organization, then we can allow Peter to be a part of this organization. Does it make sense, or is it
Okay, sure. Yeah,
confusing?
it's good.
It's good, right? So same thing with company comes cost center. Now, if we don't allow anybody from HR cost center to be a part of this organization, then we will not add anything in the any HR organization here. So say we only want people from finance and marketing to be a part of this organization. So we will add finance and marketing here. We will not add HR here. However, if we keep these things blank, then that means anything and everything is allowed.
Can you add it now, please? Sure, please.
The thing is, I have not created anything, so I will not be able to show you that.
Oh, so you have to
That
have
is why.
So you have to have a cost center and company to be able to add those.
Exactly. So say, for example, these are already pre-existing, like some people might have created. So say if I use GMS Canada and GMS USA, I have not included GMS UK. Okay. So what happens is next, so if I want to hire anybody in this supervisory organization, I can only keep that person's company as this Canada or USA. I cannot allow that person to be a part of any other companies. Only if that person is a part of Global Modern Service USA, this company, or this company, they can be a part of the supervisory organization. This thing will get clear when we hire an actual person into our organization. Similarly, if we go to cost center, so say for example, I go to say cost center consulting and cost center say benefits. So only people who belong to these cost centers can be a part of supervisory organization, or the other way around. If a person, if we are hiring anybody to the supervisory organization Superheroes Inc., they can be tagged to these two cost centers only. They cannot be tagged to any other cost center. Does it make more sense if you think it the other way around? That's better, right? Yeah. So first you hire a person in a supervisory organization, and then you assign that person to a company, to a cost center, to a region, division, whatever. So if these are the allowed organization, then the person who is hired in this supervisory organization can be assigned to either of these two companies and either of these two cost centers, but not any other cost center or companies in the system.
Hello. So can we, if we miss when we create this group and we miss some companies, or can we add it later on to add some?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
And you can also suggest default organizations here. So what that does is, in case you have a default organization, you don't have to manually edit company or edit cost center every time you hire a person. The system will automatically default it while hiring. Okay, so let's not do this right now. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. And then you have identifiers. So this is more like government ID types. Like for example, you have passport, you have social security numbers and all those things. So this is again something which we will not get into in this course. So what we will do is we will just create this and hit on OK. We have not selected. Let's just select position management for the time being. I'll just click on OK, and that's it. We are done with our topmost supervisory organization, which is Superheroes Inc. Now you can see there is 0 members right now because we have not hired Batman here. So we will add that person here at a later stage. You can see the details. You can see what is this type, the supervisory. These things we have just filled in. New York primary location, staffing model. We will come into it next class. Roles and everything. So everything we did, we can see it here, and we can also edit it. So we will just click on these 3 buttons. This is called related actions. We'll go to supervisory organization, and you can see edit primary location. Say you want to change the location, edit supervisory organization. If you want to change the organization assignments, like somebody just asked right now, say if you want to change those organization assignments, so you go into this, and then if you want to change the name, So all these things are there. I will just go to
What was
roles.
the top when you go back to that what's the top one? Supervisory organization view.
So view as of means, say you had a supervisory organization name as Superheroes Inc. from 2000 to 2010, and then in 2011 you change that name to Superheroes Limited. Okay, and you want to view it as of 2010, then it would give you the display as it was in 2010. So it's basically based on the effective date.
Okay,
it's based on the effective date. Okay, so I think we are good with this today. What I will do is we will come to location and organizational assignments and staffing models in the next class. And I would request you to create a reorganization event and create a supervisory organization. You can go ahead with this supervisory sorry, not this one. This one, if you want, you can create your own supervisory organization and just play around with the supervisory organization, and you can just go to the different options that are available. So say you want to sorry.
Can you please start from the first, like how do we log in this portal?
I will give you that access. I will teach you on that. How. When I tell you about the tenant, I will give you that information.
Okay. So, and now if you want to see your organization, what you will do, it's another very simple thing. Just type in view org. You can see the view supervisory organization. Just name it, the one that name it. You can see Superheroes Inc. Also, one more thing which I would want you to check out. If you have, you can see that there is a bracket here, an open and close parenthesis. There is nothing here. What I'll do is I'll just assign the manager role. Say in 2000. Is a manager, and the manager is say Joy Banks. Oh, sorry. Okay, so right now we don't have any employees here, so we'll not be able to do that. Once we hire employees, we will get into the manager part. So once we hire a manager, we will see that name of the manager here within this bracket. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think I'll just request you to create the supervisory organization. Just give you an idea about how you do that, and you can maybe edit the name, edit the primary location. Just play around the supervisory organization, and if you have any question, we can check that out in the next class.
Okay.
Any question on today's class?
I have one question, Satyaki. That's very so you said every time you have to create something like a supervisory organization, we go do a reorganization. Right. So so that's what I'm confused about. So basically creating an organization, we are calling it reorganization, right? It's not two different things. It's just we are calling it reorganization when you're doing something.
It's more of an event. So you don't have to create reorganization every time. You just have to name it every time you make any changes to the reorg. So for example, you can see here, assign a superior. So if you want to create a subordinate. So if you want to make some additions to the supervisory. So for example, in our requirement, we have Superhero Inc. as one supervisory organization, and there's a Superhero Executive, right? Which comes below it. So what we will do is we will go to reorganization and create a subordinate. And then we have an effective date, say maybe 2000 or whatever. And then we can just create a subordinate, and that would create one more layer to that.
Right. So when you're changing something, you're doing a reorganization. But what if you're making something completely new? If you're making a new organizational chart or something, is that still called reorganization? Or
you can use the same reorganization event
Okay.
because that belongs to you. But generally, we create separate reorganizations for separate charts.
So basically,
organization charts.
every time we are doing something, we are making any changes, it's called reorganization.
Right, that's the event that takes care
Okay.
of everything.
Okay, got it.
Okay, any more questions? Okay,
Nope.
we're good. What I'll do is I'll just check on the create region part and create company part why Logan doesn't have that access here, and then I'll let you know in the next class. And I believe it would get more interesting as we get into more activities.
Okay, thank you.